How's it going, world? Hope you're well. Hope you're safe. Hope you've all had a brilliant day. I've had a wicked day. I'm not going to lie. I've got some news for you. I'm going to be posting that everywhere tomorrow. I think I'm going to sit on it and just enjoy it for today, and give you an update on that tomorrow. So, welcome back to the Rules of Thinking with Richard Templar, and today we're on rule number 12. It is what it is. Before we get into it, we're going to go into rule number 11 and just review. So rule number 11 was be self-aware, okay? As you all know by now, if you've been following me, I'm a big proponent of self-reflection, yeah? I genuinely think the more you self-reflect, the better understanding you have of yourself, the better mastery you have over yourself, just the better you become, and the easier and better life becomes as well, right? I'm a firm believer of that, and the reason I'm a firm believer of that is because I feel like I'm living proof of it, and I'm not the only one. I see many examples of people who have dove into themselves, reflected on themselves, on their talents and skills, on their just individuality and uniqueness. Do you know what I mean? Their strengths and weaknesses, and they're fantastic examples of what life can be like and what levels we can achieve at by going through that process. So definitely don't be afraid to self-reflect, be self-aware, be aware of what pushes your buttons and what triggers you. Yeah, protect yourself from that. Get your positive mental attitude and build a bulletproof shield around it. Okay? Right, let's get into this. Number 12. It is what it is. Let's see what Richard's got to tell us today. When I have a stinking cold or a nasty bug, I confess I have a bit of a tendency to mention it. It's been said I do this with a mere sniffle, but I deny it. Negatively, apparently. Well, I'm not going to be positive about it, am I? However, I really must learn to stop doing it. Not because it irritates other people, although I'm told that's a thing, but because it makes me feel worse. Every time I mention it, it reminds me how rubbish I feel. I hear myself saying words like, I felt better, or pretty rough actually, since you ask, and ping, I feel pretty rough. What a surprise. My mother-in-law, who is beyond stoical, takes the opposite approach. When asked how her cold is, I've actually heard her reply, what cold? She'll insist she's fine. The striking thing here, and the reason I must change my habits, is that she copes way better than I do with a cold. She either ignores it completely or tells anyone who asks that she's fine. That's what she hears herself saying, so that's how she feels. This is the kind of acceptance that builds resilience. She is much more resilient than I am in the face of colds, which is, I admit, my loss. When you're facing a much bigger challenge than the common cold, it's even more important. Acceptance is not about giving up. It's not that my mother-in-law doesn't ever buy a box of tissues or make herself a hot honey and lemon drink. She'll do things to help herself. But if she ran out of lemons, it would only be a minor irritation because she's telling herself she doesn't really need it anyway. The important thing is that she accepts she has a cold. She does what she can and she lets go of the rest of it. Railing, moaning, fighting, bitching don't help. The cold will be there until it's run its course, and she lives with that. That's a good mentality to have, actually. I agree with that. That makes sense. Like, complaining never solved anything, really. Not in my experience. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Les Brown, motivational speaker, incredibly wise man. He once shared a story, right, of he used to go out for a walk in the mornings before he went to work. And on one of his walks, there was an elderly man in a house across the road, yeah, just chilling on his porch in the morning, watching the sunrise maybe, yeah, on his rocking chair, and there was a dog that he's got laying next to him on the floor. And every time Les Brown walked past the house, he'd hear the dog just like whining, yeah, and whinging. After a few days, he walked across the road, asked the old man, "What's up with the dog? Why is it crying?" And the old man said he sat on a nail. So Les Brown said, "Well, why doesn't he move?" And the old man said, "It doesn't hurt enough." Pain causes change. Do you know what I mean? So generally I've found, when people are just like moaning, sometimes we all need a good moan. We all need a good venting session just to like de-stress. Do you know what I mean? But then you get the people who, and we all know it. We all know it. We've all come across them people. The people who, they just moan for the sake of moaning. Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter what solutions are presented to them, how simple those solutions may be to implement and put in place, they just prefer moaning. Kind of like that dog in Les Brown's story. Do you know what I mean? Their situation just doesn't hurt them enough for them to change it. But they'd rather just moan, yeah? So, yeah, this makes sense. The fact that his mother-in-law, Richard's mother-in-law, she doesn't moan and like bitch about it. Like, she just, if it's not in her direct control, she accepts it and then does whatever actions she can that are in her direct control to counteract it. That's smart. That's clever. You can't deal with a challenge until you recognize it. If in your mind you're trying to change the inevitable, fight the unbeatable, you're stuck in that place. That's a pain if it's a cold, and agonizing if it's something far more serious. Sure, change things when you can, but a lot of bad stuff can't be changed. It's unavoidable, or it's already in the past. In that case, sooner or later, you have to accept it before you can move to stage 2. The one thing you do have some control over is how soon you do this. I often remind myself of the lines in the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, as translated by Fitzgerald. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on. Nor all thy piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all thy tears wash out a word of it. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on. Nor all thy piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all thy tears wash out a word of it. Ooh, that's clever. Okay, so let me see if I can visibly demonstrate, yeah? When you're writing, your finger's moving across the page, right? And as you're writing, you go on to the next line, yeah? So once you've written it, you don't go back to it and just take it off. Like, it's written now. Yeah, you can, when you're editing, you can cross things out, etc. But there's a level of permanence to it. I like that. I think I need to ponder that some more. You could see this as depressing, I suppose, but I've always found it deeply reassuring. Go on then, Richard. As I'm certain it was intended to be. It's a waste of effort fighting, so you might as well join the moving finger and move on. I don't know how I feel about that, Richard. I don't know if I agree with that. Maybe with not how it's worded. I think I understand the gist of the message, but maybe with how it's worded, I think there comes a point where you have got to fight. Do you know what I mean? Where there has got to be a level of defiance, because there's got to be a level of hope. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to need to ponder this. We'll review it more tomorrow. So the moral of the story is acceptance is not about giving up. Interesting rule. What are your thoughts? What are your interpretations? Let us know in the comments section. Let's get a conversation going. If you struggled understanding anything that was covered, reach out. I'll do my best to clarify, and stay safe and well. I'll catch you tomorrow for rule number 13. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe. Cheers. Bye-bye.